students, welcome to the Point. So let's discuss about India-Bangladesh relations. So in the previous class, we were discussing about the river disputes and the Tipaimuk Dam issues and so on. So in this session, we'll be discussing about the economic issues between India and Bangladesh. So coming to the trade part, India has been an important trade partner of Bangladesh since its inception, but it is only in the last decade that the trade relation grew by leaps and bounds. So the two-way trade stands at approximately $7 billion and it is now set to grow to $10 billion on the back of the recent trade and transit agreements which would allow India access to Bangladeshi ports. And the bilateral trade is yet another area where both the countries will have to negotiate, innovate ways to bridge the trade imbalance. So here the trade imbalance against Bangladesh, it has been a thorny issue in bilateral economic engagement as the opposition of BNP uses it as a pretext to fuel anti-India sentiment. So the trade imbalance is likely to persist in the near future even as India has extended duty-free access to all but 25 Bangladeshi products. So this is so much because Bangladesh continues to be an importer of basic commodities from India. So with increasing electricity imports, the trade deficit may further aggravate. So India, it will have to address the concerns that is raised by the Bangladesh that is relating to non-tariff barriers and infrastructural issues. So as a start, the Indian government, it has approved an increase in the number of border hats, which are popular marketplaces that allows traders from both sides to sell their products. And India, it has also tried to offset the trade imbalance by providing lines of credit and grants. A more fundamental solution will be when Indian companies invest in SEZ. So that is nothing but special economic zones and export manufactured products back to India, which reduces and thereby the adverse trade balance. So while it will help Indian firms take advantage of cheap native labor force, Bangladesh would benefit from employment generation and exports to India. And the border management. So talking about this border management, trade facilitation, trade infrastructure and cross-border migration, it remains the concern that the two governments has to tackle. And India and Bangladesh, it has signed a memorandum of understanding in June 2015 during the Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Bangladesh for the cooperation on establishing Indian SEZs. So that is the special economic zones in India. So the plan was to develop Indian special economic zones at Mirsari, at a place called Mirsari and Beramara and Mongla. So the construction of this special economic zones and Indian investment in the zone were to be facilitated through concessional line of credit extended by India to Bangladesh. So citing constraints including inadequate infrastructure and lack of uninterrupted power supply at these sites, Indian companies, they have expressed doubts about the commercial viability of the special economic zones in these locations. So for the better connectivity and business prospect, see they sought certain alternative sites which is close to Chittagong port and also the capital city of Dhaka, that is similar to those which has been allocated by Bangladesh for China's special economic zones, and they are also referred to ambiguity and uncertainty regarding incentives that is offered by Bangladeshi government to develop the special economic zones. And for this, the Indian government, it promised to address the concerns of Indian companies by taking them up with the Bangladesh government at the earliest, and it asked the Indian companies not to reject Bangladesh offers of land and the other incentives to build Indian special economic zones there. So the non-tariff barriers, they are a major obstacle for a bilateral trade. So the Indian Standard Institute is cooperating with the Bangladesh Standards and Testing Institute for the capacity building and quality harmonization. So perhaps these two agencies, they should open a joint office near the border for the quick certification of goods. The government of India, it also needs to seriously look into this issue of establishing a laboratory facilities near the border of India and Bangladesh to help with the immediate clearance of perishable goods. So the bilateral cooperation agreement on cooperation in the field of standardization, it will help to clear the impediments which is relating to testing, certification, packaging and leveling, which hampers business expansion with India. So the renewal of bilateral trade agreement and protocol on inland water transit and trade and signing of memorandum of understanding on coastal shipping and use of ports, it would help facilitate trade and transit through each other's territory for greater regional economic integration and connectivity. And the energy cooperation can be a further joint investment and by encouraging power trade. Energy cooperation. India has positioned itself as a key player in Bangladesh quest for energy security. So it has been supplying 500 megawatt of electricity since 2013, and it set up a supply of 100 megawatt more after the completion of Palathana power project in Tripura. So this project, it is a glowing example of bilateral cooperation, as Bangladeshi port was used by ONGC to ferry heavy turbine and generation equipments. And integration of Bangladesh with the Indian power grid, it will help it avail power supply from the Himalayan hydropower projects which is situated in Nepal, Bhutan and India's northeastern states. At the same time, Bangladesh will help evacuate power to deficit states of remote northeast. So beside, India is also executing 1320 megawatt thermal power plant in Rampal. So Indian private sector enterprises like Reliance and Adani Power, it have also engaged with Bangladeshi state power development, which is boarding for the settling up of power plants. And the Reliance Group is providing $3 billion power plant, and an LNG terminal will be there for single largest FDI project in Bangladesh. And Indian refineries, they are already supplying fuel to Bangladesh, and the proposed friendship pipeline, it would further ensure energy security for our neighbor. Development cooperation. India has extended a $2 billion line of credit for the development of connectivity infrastructure and power, health and education projects. So this comes on the back of $1 billion soft loan by India in 2014. So this fund will primarily be channelized for the upgradation of roads and ports in Bangladesh, so which once completed, it will transform Bangladesh into a hub for trade, transit and connectivity between South and Southeast Asia. So the project gels well with the India's Look East policy, as transit through Bangladesh is crucial for developing a landlocked Northeast India into a hub for regional development and trade with ASEAN countries. So beside power and infrastructure, the two nations are also cooperating in the field of education and health sectors for promoting people to people contact by a way of student exchange programs, upgradation of standards in health sector, and creation of knowledge economy. So a memorandum of understanding has been signed between India and Bangladesh in February 2017 for undertaking 3 projects for sustainable development of northeast city of Shilhet. So the signing was a follow-up of earlier memorandum of understanding which was signed by the two governments in April 2013 for the implementation of sustainable development projects in social economic sectors of Bangladesh. So under the project in Sylhet, the Indian government will provide financial aid for the construction of a 5-story kindergarten and high school building and a 6-story cleaner colony building, and for some development work in Dhupa, Digripur area at a total cost of around 240 million. So the Indian government will carry out similar sustainable development projects for Rajshahi at the cost of $210 million, and the memorandum of understanding it has been signed in Rajshahi in this regard, and Indian government it has also sanctioned an amount of $120 million for the sustainable development of Khulna city. So this is about the economic issues between India and Bangladesh. In the next session, let's discuss about the security issues between India and Bangladesh. Thank you.